Hello everyone, this is Ms. Smith, and the purpose of this video is to just give you some last-minute quick reminders regarding the semi-formal report assignment. So, we are at the point of the semester where the semi-formal report is coming due. Be mindful that this report is due on the other side of our holiday break, which will be Monday, July 11th, 2016, before 11:55 p.m. And so it's coming due very quickly. And here are a few other reminders that you should keep in mind. Refer to the semi-formal report overview document. This is the document that I gave to you when I approved your proposal memo. I also think I gave you a video at that time too. You don't want to ignore this document because this document outlines step by step how you should put this report together, what I'm looking for, what I'm expecting. And so you want to make sure you read over that document very, very carefully as you're putting together that semi-formal report. Include page numbers in your report. Okay, that's really important. You can begin your cover page or your title page as page 1. I know on the very front of that overview document that I've given you, it starts with Roman numerals and then it goes to standard numbers, but you can just put your entire report in standard numbering, okay? So you can start your very first page as page 1. But you want to be sure that your table of contents correctly matches the page numbers in your document. So if you tell me that your abstract is on page 6 in your table of contents, when I turn to page 6, I should see your abstract there, okay? You want to make sure that you practice good page design in your report. All major headings should be the same font size and style. All subheadings should be the same font size and style. All body text should be the same font size and style, and I'll show you an example of that in just a moment. Be sure your abstract page contains 3 paragraphs that follow the instructions as outlined in the semi-formal report overview document. This is really, really important. You want to be sure to follow the instructions as outlined in the semi-formal report overview document for your introduction as well. Okay, you will need to include subheadings for your purpose statement and for your industry background, and you must include a graphic under the industry background section within the introduction. To avoid plagiarism and a grade of 0 on your report and possibly failing the class, you must have a correct and complete references page that follows MLA format and in-text citations in your report where you reference these sources. Several of you didn't do so well on the MLA quiz, but we kind of need to revisit this in a few minutes because it's really, really important, especially in this report. If you have questions at all this coming week while we are on holiday break, please email me and I'll respond as quickly as I can. I don't know that I will have internet access the entire time of the break, but I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Okay, so let's take a look at an example of key sections of the semi-formal report. Now this is not the entire report, but these are just some key sections of the report. So there are parts missing, but these are some of the things I want to point out to you. So let's say, for example, let's first start off with the subheadings or the major headings. So you see that this student chose to put their major heading in Calibri 28 with a line underneath it. Okay, Calibri 28, it's not in all caps, there's a line underneath. So every major heading in this report should follow that same structure. So let's kind of scroll through really quickly. Introduction follows that. Okay, this is what I mean by good page design. Discussion follows that. Okay, do we see what we're doing here? Every major heading should follow that same standard. Good page design helps the reader understand where breaks happen in your document. It also gives you credibility because it organizes your document and it makes it look very structured and neat. Okay, so all of the major headings follow that same format. Okay, and so let's look at the subheadings. So whenever there's a subheading, the subheading should follow the same format. Okay, and so we have a Calibri 14 bold for that subheading, Calibri 14 bold for that subheading. Okay, and then we'll see as we scroll down that all of the rest of them are the same. And so you want to make sure that you are consistent with your subheadings. And then all the body text in the work should be the same size and style, Calibri 11. Okay, now you don't have to use that font package Calibri and you don't have to use those sizes. You just have to be consistent with whatever you choose to do. If you're centering your major heading, it should be centered every time there's a major heading. If you are Bolding your subheadings, they should always be bolded whenever there's a subheading. Consistency is key. Now I want to point out just a couple of things in particular sections of the report. Your abstract section, as I mentioned just a moment ago, and also it's mentioned in your overview document, it should contain 3 paragraphs. Refer back to that overview document because it tells you specifically what I'm looking for in each paragraph. But you should begin that 3rd paragraph of your abstract section with, I recommend that a person interested in this career field, whatever, right? And so you can reword that a little bit, but it needs to contain the word recommend, because in that abstract paragraph you're making a recommendation for a person who's interested in this field, okay? And so that's really important. Your introduction should include subheadings for your purpose statement and your industry background. Refer to the semi-formal report overview document for what each of these sections should contain. Essentially, the industry background section you can pull from your career analysis document, okay? That's where you can get your industry background information. Now let's say when you did your career analysis assignment using O-Net that you used a field that you're interested in. But let's say for your job shadow you had to shadow someone who's not in your field. Then you want to go back and look up information for the field that you job shadowed. Okay, you want to stick to that field for this semi-formal report. I'll say that again. When you did your career analysis, if you use, let's say you're interested in accounting and you used accounting, but let's say you had to shadow someone in early childhood, okay, you want to go back to O-Net and you want to search for information in early childhood. Okay, and you want to use that information in your semi-formal report, not the information you're interested in, if that's not the nature of your job shadow. Okay, and so in this industry background you're just going to pull from that O-Net information. There was a wealth of information there, and you're going to pull from that and you're going to include it in a paragraph form. So for example, you can pull salary information. You can talk about the salary information for a person in this field, or the skills and the responsibilities, or the tasks, different things. So you can choose what you want to pull, but you need to get a pretty hearty paragraph out of that explaining that industry, and O-Net can help you with that. Now I also want you to include a graphic in this introduction section. And so one thing that some students choose to do is to pull from the work context. So let's say the student is looking in the field of a librarian. This student has chosen to look up everything under O-Net for librarian that has a work context of 70% or higher, and the student has chosen to put that in a table. A table is a type of a graphic, a type of a visual, so you could use that. And so that would meet the requirements for the graphic or visuals that you need for your introduction. Okay, so you can go to O-Net, you can look up work context, which gives percentages in that field that you're looking into, and you can list in some order, whether it's highest to lowest or lowest to highest, the work context and the percentages within that field. Okay, you can set the amount. You can do 70% or higher, 50% or higher. It depends on the industry you're looking at and the information that it's giving you. Okay, your discussion section, of course, you want to include your subheadings. Use what I've given you. So I've given you some suggested subheadings if you've used the possible interview questions that I provided, and the goal of that was to make your lives easier. And so use those subheadings. Do not give me a semi-formal report without subheadings. Do not do that. You want it to be structured and you want it to be organized. And so make sure that you go through and that you include the subheadings and that you include information under each section pertaining to that. Okay, you need at least 2 pages for your discussion section. 2 to 4 pages is what is stated. Okay, if it's more than 4 pages, that's fine, but you need a minimum of 2 pages. Your conclusion section would come next, and conclusion and recommendations can share 1 page. That's perfectly fine. Okay, and so you have your conclusion, which can be 1 paragraph here, and then you have your recommendations, which I would suggest that you have a lead-in sentence and then you list however many recommendations you have. Your recommendation should be pulled from what you've learned in your job shadow, what you've learned from O-Net. Okay, and so it's not just what you think, but it's your informed opinion based on the information, the research that you've gathered about this field. Okay? Then you have your references page. Your references page is really important. You can fill your entire semi-formal report and possibly fail the class if your MLA information is not correct. And so here, I'm just following, or this student is just following the guidelines as listed in the semi-formal report overview document. The student has included the MLA for the personal interview, the MLA for the information from ONET, okay, which this can be generated. Remember when we did that in the career analysis assignment, it could be generated through ONET. If you go to the bottom of the page, the center, near the center where the social media icons are, there's a link there that says cite this page. If you click on that and you choose the MLA option, it will give you this information. You just want to replace whatever set of numbers they give you with the actual keywords that you used for that search. Okay? And then the student chose for their additional external online information that they had to find, the student chose OC Tech's website because the person they interviewed was an employee of OC Tech. Okay, and so they just used about information from the college and included that in the report. Okay, so let me point out really quickly the in-text citation thing. So this is your references page. And your in-text citation will be the first word or first few words of the full citation. These are the full citations. Within your report, you need to make sure you have in-text citations that will link us right back to this references page. Okay? And so when I look at this report, I should see an in-text citation for Hamilton, an in-text citation for Librarian, and an in-text citation for Orangeburg or Orangeburg Calhoun. Okay? And so I've already gone through and highlighted some of those, starting in the introduction, right? Because we're using information from ONET in the introduction. And so we see here at the end of this information that was pulled from ONET in the introduction, we have in parentheses librarian. That is the in-text citation. That tells the reader that if you go down to the references page, you will find a full citation beginning with librarian, and you do. Okay? And so let's go now. We've gotten that one, and also underneath the graphic you want to put source and then the in-text citation as well. Okay? And then under discussion we should find information there as well to complete our in-text citation. So we have Hamilton here. So we should be able to go back to the references page and find a citation that begins with Hamilton, and we do. So the one that we're missing now is Orangeburg Calhoun Technical College, and it should either begin with Orangeburg or Orangeburg Calhoun. Okay? And so if we go back to our discussion section, there it is. Okay? So we have an in-text citation here for Orangeburg. Okay? And we can find that on the references page. There should be no in-text citation in your report that is not included in the references page, and vice versa. That would be a plagiarism issue. But if you have the full citations and you have your in-text citations in your report, okay, then you're safe. You've not made a plagiarism error. Okay, so you want to make sure that you get that correct. If you have questions, please let me know. And I look forward to a great report, and hopefully this has all been a good experience for you all. Take care, and I look forward to reading your assignments.